Om Sri Sai Ram. Jnana Vahini, Chapter-04. Continued from Chapter-3. 13. Remember constantly that you are not the body. Look at the clouds that wander across the sky. Note that they have no intimate, lasting relationship with the sky, which they hide but for a few minutes. Such is the relationship between your body and you. That is to say, you who are the nature of Supreme Self, Paramatma, the body is only a temporary passing phase, hiding and clouding the truth. How can the body's behavior, wakefulness, dream and sleep affect the eternal Supreme Self, Paramatma, in any way? What of your shadow? Isn't it something separate from you? Does its length or clarity or carrier affect you in any way? Understand that the relationship between the body and yourself is the same. If you take this bundle of flesh and bone as yourself, consider what happens to it and how long you can call it mine. Pondering over this problem is the beginning of spiritual wisdom, Jnana. The physical frame built out of earth, fire, water, wind and ether breaks up into components as all built up things do. Only ignorance will take it as real. Only the uneducated will attach value to it as permanent and eternal. Did this body exist before birth? Does it persist after death? No. It appears that and disappears with an interval of existence. Therefore, it has no absolute value. It is to be treated only as the cloud of the shadow. As a matter of fact, this physical world is like the mango tree raised by the magician's wand. It is the product of the trickster known as mind. The clay takes the form of pot and pan and plate, and after an interval it becomes clay once again. Shapeless clay, similarly, all this is the formless existence, knowledge bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, the formless Nirakara, appearing with form Akara for some time, on account of the delusion and ignorance of the mind. Some things are useful, some are not, all because of this name and form. All forms are He, all are He, you too are He, above and behind the past, present and future. You are not this body, which is tied up with time and which is caught up in the toils of was, is and will. Be ever fixed in this attitude. Dwell constantly in the thought that you are of the nature of the universal, absolute Brahman, Parabrahman. Then you will grow into a realized soul, Jnani. 14. Develop non-attachment. Be in the world, but not of it. The mind that is in bondage craves for objects, for the company of men, and it prefers this location or that. Attachment is bondage. Non-attachment is liberation, moksha, mukti. To crave is to be imprisoned. To die, to withdraw the mind from all attachment is to be free, to live forever. For people, it is the mind that either causes bondage or grants liberation. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshaya. The mind runs after an object and gets attached. The senses are alerted. An action results. The mind is rendered happy or unhappy. Feeling ensues. Fear enters. Anger grows. Affection develops. Thus, the bonds are tightened. Fear, anger, and affection are the closest comrades of attachment, the comrades dearest to its heart. All four are inseparable companions, moving always together. That is why even Patanjali was forced to assert attachment runs after happiness. And what grants happiness? The fulfillment of desire, right? Desire leads to hatred of those who thwart it, fondness of those who feed it, and the inevitable wheel of opposites of likes and dislikes. There is no escape from this for the ignorant. Impure gold is melted in the crucible and emerges shining and bright. The mind rendered impure by passion, rajas, and ignorance, tamas, by anger and conceit, by the impressions of 1,000 attachments and desires. This mind can be made bright and resplendent by putting it into the crucible of inquiry and heating it on the coals of discrimination. That brightness is the light of realization, of the knowledge that you are the Atma. Like the dust storm that covers everything with dust, desires, attachments, thirsts, and cravings all blacken the mind. They have to be kept away so that the splendor of the self might merge in the splendor of the Supreme Omni-Self, the Paramatma. Whatever the crisis, however deep the misery, don't allow your grip over the mind to get loose. Tighten it further, fixing your eyes on the higher values. Don't allow the mind to stray away from the holy tabernacle of the heart. Make it bow before the Atma within. Thus, one can proceed from merging with the differentiated Sa-Vikalpa Samadhi to merging with the undifferentiated Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Delusion must disappear without even a trace. Then only can one merge with the undifferentiated. There is no duality there. It is Brahman and Brahman alone. All bonds of ignorance, avidya, desire, kama, etc. fall away and one is genuinely, fully free. 15. Self-realization is the ultimate goal of life. The snake shows off its coil and has nothing more to do with it. Develop that attitude of non-attachment. Escape from the body delusion. The weak can never grasp this fact. By constant meditation on the Atma and its glory, one can come out of the tangles of the world and worldly affairs. The earnest spiritual aspirant sadhak must divert all their attention and effort from the sensory world and fix them on the eternal Brahman. Humanity did not arise merely to wallow in casual joy and fleeting happiness. It is insane to believe so. Identifying oneself with the I and getting attached to mine, that is the root cause of sorrow and ignorance. Where there is no egotism, there will be no cognizance of the external world. When the external world is not cognized, the ego can't exist. Therefore, wise ones will disidentify themselves from the world and behave ever as the agent of the Lord, being in it but not of it. Once in the midst of conversation, Vasishtha spoke to Rama. Listen, Rama, the valiant, the individual with ego, Jiva, is the full reclining in the shade, delusion, moha, of the vastly spreading tree in the forest, the objective world, samsara. It is bound by the rope of desire, so it is infected by the fleas and insects of unrest and worry and disease. It tolls in the mire of wrong while struggling in the dark night of ignorance to slake the thirst of the senses. Then some good people who are wise untie it and take it out of the dark recesses of the forest. Through discrimination, viveka, and inquiry, vichara, they achieve the highest intellect, vijnana. And through this intellect, they are able to grasp the truth, to realize the Atma, to know the Atma. That is the ultimate goal of all life, the stage that is the behind the past, present, and future. But one point has to be clearly noted and always remembered: merely giving up external activities connected with the satisfaction of sensory desires is not enough. The internal cravings have to be uprooted. The word Trishna covers both of these, the internal promptings and the external proceedings. When all promptings cease, it is called free of desire, Mukta Trishna, knowledge of the Atma and faith in the Atma. Only these can destroy the irrelevant trust. The spiritually wise person, Jnani, who declares, I am Brahman, utters this truth from the sincerity of the experience. When the gross and subtle are transcended, when the mind, manas, the intellect, buddhi, and the life force, prana, are sublimated. That is to say, when the self is no longer bound by feelings, thoughts, impulses, and instincts, only existence, Sat, remains, pure and unalloyed, absolute Brahman, Parabrahman. Hence, the spiritually wise person feels one with the omnipresent, the omnipotent. But the uneducated, the uninitiated, the people who have not taught themselves the first steps of spiritual discipline, they feel that they are one with their physical frame. 16. Being awareness, bliss describes the experience of Brahman. The expression being awareness, bliss, Satchit Ananda, indicates the eternal without form, Nirakara. What form can we posit of all pervasive and all inclusive? Para or Param means super, behind, above, more glorious than all. Parabrahman indicates the one behind and behind everything, grandeur than anything in the three worlds. It is non-dual, unique, eternal, and infinite. 2 means difference, dissension, inevitable discord. Since Brahman is all pervasive, it is one and only one. It is indivisible and indestructible. Realizing this fact is the highest wisdom, Jnana. Jai Sai Ram.